All right, here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Simmons from brandonsimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, and we are back for 2019. Ain't nobody canceled me yet, cause I own this motherfucker. But yo, all jokes aside, glad to be back doing this again. You know what I'm saying? Really excited about this season coming up, and of course, I'm gonna tell you why I'm excited about this season coming up. So, with that being said, let's just go right into the show, quote unquote. Anyway, man. So, yo, the other day I wrote a little article or whatnot on my website about some of the headlines going into the season. So of course I'll just kind of recap over what some of those headlines were. So first headline, obviously the Texans being reloaded. It was pretty quiet during the off season, the real off season, if you will. Drafted a couple people in the drafted a couple linemen in the draft, and outside of that, that was about it. Nothing really seemed to pop off. Then the whole general manager thing happened, which I'll touch on in a few seconds or whatever. But the preseason where they seem to do most of their moves, and so obviously I'm referring to the Jadeveon Clowney trade, and also the trade with the Miami Dolphins to get Laremy Tunsil. So my thoughts on the Clowney trade is like they probably wasn't gonna pay dude. Like, I mean, and given the circumstances of what was going on with the front office, it didn't look like that they was going to reach a sensible solution into paying them. So it's best that probably cut ties with them, and it wouldn't be the first time that they cut ties with a number one player. We did it well, counting this time. It's been like three times already. So excuse me, number one overall pick. So I mean, so it's nothing that's not in their blood to just be like, listen, we gotta move on. And so, you do what you gotta do. So with that being said, they got rid of Clowney, then they turn around and they went out and they go get one of the highest graded offensive linemen on Pro Football Focus in Laremy Tunsil. So I think I don't think those two moves had anything to do with each other. I think they were just two completely separate things. But it's fun to tie those in together. I wrote that it pretty much speaks to like their train of thought of where they were trying to go with this franchise, and that's obviously invest in the quarterback. So what they did was they went out and got Tunsil to protect Deshaun Watson's left side or quote unquote blind side. And, they also got Kenny Stills to give, Watson another bullet in the bullet in the gun. In case any other receivers go down, like Kiki QT went down in the preseason, should be returning soon, might be ready for week one. I didn't really check the status of that, but that's just some added insurance that'll definitely be needed. So we'll talk more on like the quote unquote new Texans in a few minutes. Another thing I wrote about the new look secondary. So last year we were like 28th in the league against the pass. So hopefully, the new look secondary. The renovations that they did with our defensive backs would be pretty great. Now, unfortunately, out of all those renovations, I hated to see Tyrann Mathieu go. I think he brings a great attitude to this defense, brings a certain toughness to these guys, and I think he would have rubbed off well on Justin Reed, who's coming into his second year. However, those guys playing at safety are just those guys playing at safety. We really needed to make some like deep changes in the cornerback area, and that's what they did. They went out and got Bradley Roby from the Denver Broncos, and from what I saw with Roby, as far as like during the preseason, he seems to really just stick to the receiver, which I think is going to be great, especially if we get somebody, if we start, implementing a little bit of like bump and run or whatever. So somebody that was just, stick to the receiver like glue, creates some real difficulty for the passes to be thrown their way. Progress of the offensive line. So, they tried to address the offensive line situation in the offseason. So they went and drafted Max, if I'm saying his name here. Yeah, Max Sharping, um, in the draft. They went and got him. They went and got Titus Howard in the first round as well. If I check the depth chart correctly, I think Howard is going to be starting actually this week at the left guard position. So that's going to be a pretty left guard position. So that's going to be a pretty interesting matchup or interesting pairing on that side of the field. You got this experienced highly touted veteran at the left tackle position, and right next to him you got this rookie who's highly regarded enough to be taken in the first round, but still he's a rookie, so you don't know what you're really going to expect of him. So definitely I'll be looking forward to that. And let's see. So last thing I touched on was would this be was the setup to be Bill O'Brien's last season? Was this season set up to be Bill O'Brien's last? And so with that, I was like, the whole new general manager thing coming in. These all these complications with some of these players getting cut. So yeah, I talked about they let Tyrann Mathieu go, but that was pretty much like off season stuff. Dante Foreman, he got cut. He got waived during the preseason, allegedly because of attitude issues. And so I don't know, maybe it could have been something more with him, because I just saw that the Colts put him on injured reserve. So maybe that could have been something else. But everything just seemed to be kind of real choppy, just coming into the season, at least heading into week one. So it's just kind of like, well, this seems a little bit turbulent right now. And, O'Brien's been here for quite a few years and everything. So, we really want to see something matriculate. We want to see something come into fruition with his tenure here. So hopefully that is not the case. It's never a good thing to wish anybody getting fired. That's probably one of the worst feelings in the world, no matter what job you have. But definitely, it's something to just kind of be on the lookout for in case things go completely south with the Houston Texans. So getting off of the headlines, let's just quickly go over some of the new 2019 Texans. So the reason I air quoted that is because these guys weren't even thought of being signed to the team, before the preseason, and now here it is, like a week out before the over a week out before the Texans open up the regular season. They're making all these last minute deals and getting all these high profile players. So one of the first ones that they got was, well, not one of the first, but one of the more notable picks that they got was Carlos Hyde. And I don't know why I said notable, but anyway, they got Carlos Hyde, traded a couple picks for him from the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, he'll be starting behind Duke Johnson, who ironically didn't play this whole preseason. So Duke Johnson is a guy that I forgot to mention as well as one of the guys that the Texans traded for. But he was like first or second week in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. So they traded for him. They got him. And so now it's like, Duke Johnson, he'll be starting on Monday on the Monday night game. Carlos Hyde will be backing him up, of course, kind of bringing back the old Cleveland tandem, if you will, the Cleveland Browns tandem, if you will, from maybe just like a year or so ago. So it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be an interesting look as far as running backs go with this team, because I mean Lamar Miller, he obviously was going to be a starter, but they excuse me, not they, but yeah, he injured his ACL or whatever, so he's done for the year. And so now it's like, without him, that whole running back position is questionable. It's a whole preseason of that in and of its own. Who's going to actually step up and just kind of take over, as the lead back, or would the Texans just go do like a running back by committee type deal, similar to what similar to what the Bears did Thursday the other night. They were just throwing like different running backs out there, for different situations. There was talk. I forgot which team it was. I think it was I think it was the Rams. They were talking about doing like I heard they were talking about doing like a 3 running back set, and so it could be something that the Texans try out because it's something that's just popping up in the league. It's one of those trend. It seems like it's going to be a trend over the next few years, and probably maybe even going forward, as far as like just how people utilize their running backs. So it'll definitely be interesting to see like what Carlos Hyde brings to the table with that, in addition to Duke Johnson, as well as like all the other running backs we have in the stable. Kenny Stills, he was acquired in the Miami trade with Laremy Tunsil, and so yeah, I definitely think Stills, as I mentioned a couple seconds ago, man, Stills is a nice addition. He gives their team like another bullet in that in the chamber. He gives Deshaun Watson another bullet in the chamber in case all the other bullets fail. So Will Fuller, he was hurt last year. He missed some games. Who else? Kiki Kuti, he was hurt last year. He missed I think the whole season or whatever. And so after that, it's like, yeah, you got DeAndre Hopkins, but at the same time, defenses, they're probably going to double team him anyway, regardless if you have a Will Fuller or not. So really, it's all about if you can get another receiver in there that can step up whenever DeAndre Hopkins gets double teamed, or whenever yeah whenever he gets double teamed, and you can just get somebody else the ball, or in case the other receivers go down, you have another quality receiver that's either opposite him, or you have somebody that can come in there if he, unfortunately, hopefully not, but if in the catastrophic event that DeAndre Hopkins goes down, you have another quality receiver to actually come in there and do what they have to do to take over for him. So definitely looking forward to seeing what Kenny Stills brings to the table. And another thing about Kenny Stills too, I was just looking at some of his numbers, and I was like, these numbers don't really like just pop up as I thought they would for somebody like Kenny Stills. But at the same time, I had to take into consideration he really didn't have that great of a quarterback to work with at any point. So whether it was Ryan Tannehill that he had last season, or maybe it was a Matt Moore a couple times during the season whenever Ryan Tannehill was hurt. He just never really had that solid quarterback. So hopefully Watson provides that for him, and Kenny can get his game going. So, Laremy Tunsil. So that's probably the most excited I've ever seen a fan base get over an O lineman for any team, basically. But it's a good thing, Everybody recognizes that we need this guy on this team. Him coming to the team pretty much helps our quarterback, which we know what it's like to not have a quarterback. We know what it's like to have that particular quarterback injured. So just having somebody to like keep him healthy is definitely a sign. It's definitely something that people are just very, very welcoming about. And so, everybody's definitely looking forward to seeing Tunsil get out there, play, make some blocks, open up some running lanes on the outside, all that good stuff. So just keeping Deshaun Watson healthy after last season's performance of our O-line being injured themselves, and just really not blocking that well. Everything should just work out pretty fine with Tunsil at the helm. So, with that being said, let's move right on to the game. Quite a couple of keys to winning. quite a few keys to winning this game, even though people are like, "Oh, it's the Saints." I'm like, whatever. So it's week one, man. It's Monday Night Football. The lights are on. Season opener. So look, man, it's a whole new day. Everybody's 0-0. So these are things that we got to do to win this game. So number one, up-tempo offense often and early. So with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, you know you're going to get some points on the board. That's just as simple as that. That's just what it is. That's just how it goes. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're able to kind of wear down the defense a little bit. The way you can do that is definitely with an up-tempo offense. We have the weapons for an up-tempo offense. You know, you got Deshaun Watson, who can run up and down the field if need be. You have Will Fuller and the DeAndre Hopkins. You have a Kenny Stills. You have a Kiki. You may have a Kiki QT that's going to be available for you. But you definitely have those three receivers and Stills, Hopkins, and Fuller. So definitely you have the mix for up to get the offense in an up-tempo mode and, just kind of not give the defense any breaks. Now, you don't have to do up-tempo like all the time. You can definitely slow it down a little bit, probably intermittently within drives and everything. And definitely, we got like 30 running backs, so you could probably just run each of them, give them all each one rush or whatever, and eventually somebody's going to hit 5 yards on one of the rushes to just let it ass up. But anyway, I'm just talking gibberish on that. But yes, up-tempo offense, just so you can wear down the defense and so, keep breezing them off their own rhythm. Number two, linebackers must execute coverage. So listen, man, Texans defense is going to be facing Alvin Kamara. So they have the utmost pleasure in facing one of the most dangerous running backs in this game today. So, he can, he can definitely run the ball. Obviously, he's not just a receiving threat. But yeah, he can get to the outside. He might be able to get to the inside a little bit. He might have to get to the inside a little bit more since the Saints lost Mark Ingram to free agency. So he might be able to. You can try to kind of pound and run the ball up the middle, but also more than likely he's probably going to be touching outs. He's probably going to be rushing to the outside, and he's also more than likely going to be played as a receiver, in multiple times. They're probably going to give him multiple looks at the receiver position. So he might come in, in a run formation in the backfield, and he might just motion out into a flat, excuse me, not a flat, but motion out into the slide or motion out into a split or something. So definitely linebackers, if you're covering them and he just motions out to like the slide or inside, something like that, just make sure that you execute the coverage on it. Just play it smart. Don't do nothing stupid. And just kind of, get ready to make that happen. Last thing, number three, make sure nothing gets deep. So if you have to if the Texans might have to play off the receivers a little bit, which Jonathan Joseph does because he probably has to, but guys like Brandon Roby who probably don't have to play off the receivers deep. Just make sure that nothing gets deep. Just trying to make sure everything kind of stays in front. You don't want Michael Thomas to show y'all why he just got a contract this summer and just break one off for like 40, 50 yards. So, just make sure nothing gets deep at all. So, that's all I got for y'all today. Like I said, they want to win. Texans want to win this Monday night game. Keep the up-tempo offense going early and often. Linebackers execute the coverage. When it is called for, and also just make sure nothing gets deep. And so with that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons from brandonsimmons.biz. Holla black.